Welcome to the Thriving Tides podcast. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Julianne. If you're an entrepreneur or busy individual looking for self-care ideas, you're in the right place.
And we can't wait to share our experiences with you. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Closet. I am really excited about this episode. We're talking about astrology.
Mm-hmm.
And astrology is one of those things where I feel like it's super misunderstood. People think it's just those little newspaper horoscopes, and that's your horoscope.
Isn't it?
You know, like that's astrology right there. But it's so much more than that. And our Instagram poll today totally shows it. Like, we had literally all day 50-50, like for or against astrology, which I think is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things that I personally didn't believe for a long time, shockingly, as a little self-professed hippie, just because I only saw those little like newspaper sun signs.
Yeah, not realizing there's actually so much more to it.
So much more. So misunderstood. And I'm super excited that we're going to be talking more about it because it has definitely helped me, not only in my self-care, but even as a businesswoman, it's helped me. My personal life, it's helped me. And I don't know, I'm just super excited about this episode today.
I know you are. I love it. And this has been one that's been in our plan for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Because we took a intro to astrology course back in October.
I was gonna say right before
which
Halloween.
Is wild. I think it was on Halloween, wasn't it? I think it might have been.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was on Halloween.
Yeah, so that was fun too.
Ooh, spooky.
But we knew that we wanted to take some more time and really dive into it. And so we had like a little mini astrology night here and, you know, just kind of getting to know our own birth charts a bit better.
Yes.
So that we can feel, I mean, we're not experts on this,
No.
but we do believe that there is a tie into how you can approach your life in terms of entrepreneurship, self-care, and many other things. So we thought, you know, this still really fits with Thriving Tides, and we wanted to share.
Totally. Exactly. Yeah. So before we even get started, what is astrology?
It is the belief that the positions of the stars and the planets, as well as their movements in the solar system, have an influence on personality characteristics, your behaviors, events, etc. So it's, you know, the position of everything whenever you're born kind of influences all of that.
Exactly. And then from that, you have what they call a birth chart. So basically, when you see like those little horoscopes, that's your sun sign normally. And there's 3 different ones, and there's also houses that go on to birth charts as well. So we're not going to go into the super in-depth aspects of, say, a birth chart, but we are going to talk about your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising and or ascendant sign. And that's the thing, like a lot of people will actually say, I don't really feel like I fit like a Pisces. Like none of that applies to me. But guaranteed their moon sign is probably something that they're more dominant in. So that's something that I really think is interesting, that again, people discredit astrology because they just see their sun sign and say, I don't feel like I am that person. Yeah. But then they look into their chart and they're like, oh my goodness.
Well, even the night that we were here and doing the astrology stuff, it was hilarious to be reading it to like you or you reading it to me and whatnot. And it's just like, like, was this written about me? Like, I felt really seen, and I felt like, you know, not everything is bang on. And, you know, some people might say we're just reading into it, but there's a lot there.
There's a lot there. And I feel like especially when you look at the broader aspects of your birth chart in whole, then that's when it completely changes.
Yes.
Because like even your houses have a huge impact on your sun, moon, and ascendant and so forth, right? So like I said, we're not professionals, so even as we say this, we're just like,
it takes a while for it to make sense, but we're going to do our best to make it accessible for all of you to understand it and just kind of see, you know, what comes up out of your sun sign. We're not going to go deep into all of, you know, the moon and the rising and everything today, but there's a lot of cool stuff, and maybe you'll find a little spark or learn a little something about yourself.
Exactly. And you can also pull up your own birth chart if you're curious after as well. There's so many sites that have generators. You do need your exact time of birth, your location, and obviously your birthday. And the reason why is, again, it's literally your thumbprint from when you were born, what the sky was like.
Yes.
And that's why it makes it so cool. It's like, and that's what I always I see all these personality tests, and I want to take them and they're cool, but at the same time, how much cooler is this personality test where it's literally for you, and it's almost next to impossible to have the exact same birth chart as someone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Unless they were born in the
exact,
and the place and the time both needing to be the key parts there, right? Because like if you were born in Alberta and I was born here in Prince Edward Island, and even if it was, and it's not, I mean, we're different ages and everything, but if we had the same birthday, same birth time, but on different ends of the country, we would have very different charts. So
exactly. So I think that's something cool too. And I always find it cool that it takes you even deeper into it, which I think is really exciting. Yeah. So, but I know we are going to break down the sun signs and their common traits and stuff like that and make it really fun. Yeah. But before we go really into it, I kind of want to talk about what the sun moon is, or what the sun sign is, what the moon sign is, and what the ascendant rising sun.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So your sun sign is pretty much your identity. It's like the essence of you and your individuality. Your moon sign is your soul behind your identity. So it's kind of like the subconscious hidden aspect of yourself. And some people would say that's like the shadow of yourself. So your emotional situation. And then your rising and or ascendant is kind of, those two terms are used interchangeably, is your social personality. So it's actually how others perceive you, which that one was huge for me because I always would get compliments of people when people would first meet me, what they would think of me. And I'm like, I'm not like that at all, until I looked at what my rising was. And I was like, oh, shoot, that's crazy.
Now it makes sense.
Exactly. But the thing is, you could be more of your moon sign than you're your sun sign. So a big example that I always like to give is actually my husband. He's a Gemini, but he's also a Capricorn moon. And he is not a Gemini. Like, I've known quite a few Geminis, and he's not the classic.
He's not one.
He does have some Gemini traits. Like, he's very agile with his hands. He's quick with his thoughts, and he can talk your head off for days. But even like when we were reading, he's like, I don't associate with any of that. But then we pulled up his Capricorn thing, and he's like, oh yeah, that is me. Oh yeah, I do that. And he started putting it together, and I'm like, it's so true that you could be more of one sign than the other.
Right.
Which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah. I think so too. So you don't, when you're reading those horoscopes in the paper, look beyond your sun sign maybe, if you know what your others are.
Exactly. Or even just kind of take a look into it too.
Yeah.
A lot of websites, they actually break it down super easily for you to like what your moon sign represents and whatnot too, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really cool. There's a lot to learn.
Oh, there's so much.
And it's really easy, I find, to get overwhelmed by it all also, because like you had mentioned earlier, like the houses, things like that, which we're not going to get into today because we're still really kind of confused about it in many ways too, or at least I am. I'm speaking for myself. I'll let you speak for yourself.
It's one of those things where you think that you're getting it and you're like, yeah, I'm getting it. And then all of a sudden you read another thing and you're like, oh wait, I don't get it.
Well, there was something that I had written when we had taken the course on Halloween, and I had written something, and then I remember I was reading it to you guys, and I was like, yeah, this makes no sense at all. Like, what was I even writing? I don't even know. So wonder I made it through school taking notes from lectures, because if that's the way that I transcribe, I don't know.
Yeah, we try like rereading that a couple times, trying to be like, is this... Maybe that's what that means? No, that's not what that means.
I think I just need to scratch it out. Oh, that's great. Well, we like to have fun no matter what we do, so.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
So do we want to jump into walking through the sun signs, or is there anything else we need to share before we do that?
Yeah, I think we should get into the sun signs. And so this is my first time writing out things. So I was pretty excited that I was doing this. So like I've been like studying different signs. Before I used to always stick in my sign. So you guys have probably heard me mention it a couple times, but I am a strong Taurus. That's my sun sign.
The more I learn what a Taurus is, I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That girl
100%. And it's kind of funny because like my moon is Sagittarius, which is you, and I feel like that's why we complement each other so well, because I understand, like, even though I don't show much Sagittarius and the shadow self, I want to be more exploring, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's why we're going to travel together.
Yes, exactly. Well, we already have. Look at that.
True.
Yeah.
More and more.
More and more.
Love it.
So yeah, this was my first time like writing something. Some things I did, like the traits I did look up because I was just like, I'm not too sure. But then I did actually write them, so I'm actually really excited. And when we have our website up, I am going to put them out and
absolutely
too. So it'll be really exciting. So the zodiac starts with Aries. It usually always starts with Aries, and that starts on March 21st to the 19th
of April.
Yes. The dominant keyword is I am. And Aries is a fire sign, and it's actually ruled by the planet Mars, and it is the planet of war. So it is a very fiery sign. Their most likable trait is courage.
I like that.
Yeah. Common Aries traits are also eager, dynamic, quick, competitive. So Aries love to be number one.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. So no surprise, they come from the first zodiac wheel.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Life is an adventure with an Aries. So known as the Ram, they dive headfirst, pun intended, into the most difficult, challenging solutions. An Aries person has a magnetic personality that brings excitement, but don't cross an Aries, as they also have a reputation for being quite sharp-tongued and fiery.
Keep that in mind.
Right? I actually know quite a few Aries, and they're really calm and collected, and then if something just doesn't sit right with them, they'll go out and they'll tell you why. You know, that's why there's a lot of actually politicians and leaders that are Aries-based, because they're just so quick-witted and competitive and, you know, are okay with, like, you know, talking a lot and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I guess you never have to worry where you stand or wonder where you might stand with an Aries, because they're probably going to tell you.
Oh, yeah. They're usually quite brash, you know. So possible entrepreneur endeavors. So we added that for every single one, which I think is kind of a cool idea. So leader of an organization. So a CEO for show. A YouTube creator or influencer, or like in marketing or PR. Again, somewhere where you're really competitive and you're quick-witted. I feel like that's a huge one. So yeah, let us know if like that applies to you. If you know if you're an Aries born in between March 21st and April 19th.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so some famous Aries include Reba McEntire, which I'm like, she seems like a Aries.
She's awesome.
Mariah Carey, Lady Gaga, Robert Downey Jr., Celine Dion, Christopher Walken, and Maya Angelou.
Cool.
And of course, we always have to tie it back to self-care. And so we wrote down a couple recommended self-care practices for each sign as well. So for the Aries, we have something that makes them slow down, as they are susceptible to headaches and nervousness.
Because they're so
go. So meditation, yoga, journaling.
Some of those more soothing things,
Exactly. It's funny because I'm born on a cusp. My birthday is April 20th. And so like I always, people are like, oh yeah, you're more of an Aries than a Taurus. I'm like, I have no Aries.
You're like, no, I'm a Taurus.
Yeah, like trust me, I'm much more of a Taurus. But then I don't, like, why do I feel so anxious about being called an Aries? And I think it's just because I know I don't have that like fiery, I'm not gonna fight you type. You know what I mean?
I mean, you're strong-willed in different ways.
Yeah.
Not in like in your face though, right?
Like I would never confront someone that did me wrong. I would hold it in and be really sad, but then cut them off for life and be stubborn about it until they come to me and apologize. Like that's you know.
Noted.
Right. So the next sign is a Taurus.
Yeah. I'm like, ooh.
Which, by the way, a cusp, you'll probably hear that every once in a while if you're looking into astrology a little bit more. It's basically you're born right in between the...
Like on the first
flip.
one that one starts or ends or
Exactly.
or even like a couple days within, or is it usually like the day?
It's usually like a couple days
Okay.
within. And it's funny because when you would read those like little newspaper or website, blog, sun horoscopes or whatever, I'd always be an Aries. And I'm like, I know I'm not an Aries. Like, so I'd read the Taurus. I'm like, okay, that makes much more sense than an Aries one, but okay.
Interesting.
This site's off the rocker. But like, that's the thing that it's so different depending on who you talk to of like that sun sign thing. But you can still be like a cusp. So I do have like a cusp in my sign.
Gotcha.
I thought kind of interesting.
It is interesting. You're interesting.
Yeah. So the next one is Taurus.
Love it. You want me to tell you all about you?
Yes, please.
So the dominant keyword here is I have, which once you start hearing what we talk about, you're going to understand this. So it's an earth sign, and it's ruled by Venus, which is the planet of love and luxury.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, Taurus. I love it. The most likable trait is dependability, and I can definitely attest that Steph's got a lot of that. Some traits that you might see in a Taurus is that they are strong, creative, loyal, and earthy. And they love to be relaxed, bundled up with many candles on the go. I love that. Every time I walk into Steph's house, there's definitely several candles lit. Everyone knows you have a temper and you're stubborn. But like a bull, it doesn't get shown unless you're pushed.
Yes.
So that's cool. So it's inside of you, but someone needs to kind of poke the bull instead of the bear. Tauruses hate change. They try to control situations, maybe even people. They love financial stability. They love collecting things, and they love all of life's luxuries. And of course, Steph's sun sign. So it's interesting
like blushing.
to see this,
I don't know
right?
why.
It's me.
I feel so seen.
It's interesting, right? And then I love how possible entrepreneur endeavors include graphic designer.
Why not?
An artist or a painter, hobby farm, candle maker. You do that in your spare time sometimes. A thrift reseller. So this is really cool. And when I was reading it too, and I see financial stability being something that you love, it's interesting to see a Taurus brave enough to then take on entrepreneurship, because that doesn't always go hand in hand, right?
But then that's when I also have like my Sagittarius and Virgo dominant that I'm wanting to explore, but then so that's the thing, my signs really like conflict with each other, and no wonder why I'm so crazy sometimes. It's because I have like that I want to, but then like for example, this week has been a really slow week, and my Taurus heart is just like, oh, we're this is not a good sign, Steph. Like we need to get up on this, and but then I need to recenter and be like, oh no, okay, this is just
Like,
a
I'm good.
temporary lull.
Yeah.
You have a a safety bank, like that's what you should do. But that's the thing, I financial plan.
Yes, so that you can
For
have that
that.
stability.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
So.
I like it. And then, so any famous Taurians, is that how we say it? Include Adele, awesome.
Yeah.
Queen Elizabeth II, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, ooh, hello, George Clooney, Amy Poehler, George Lucas, and Stevie Wonder. Very cool. And of course, so we know Steph is all about the self-care.
Oh, yes.
So I just like laughed and was like, I wonder what comes here. It's all about like that comfort, stability, whatnot. So she's saying like blankets, all the blankets, especially weighted ones.
Oh, so good.
Candles, a financial plan, like anything that brings that just comfort, stability to a Taurus is exactly what they need. Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool. I love it. And then we move into Gemini.
And their dominant keyword is I think. And if you've known a Gemini, they are thinkers. Or if you are a Gemini, if you're listening.
Yeah. And that's so if you're a Gemini, you were born between May 21st and June 20th.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Gemini is an air sign, and they are ruled by Mercury, the planet of communication. Go figure.
Hence the talking.
Their most likable trait is responsiveness. So other Gemini traits is that they're versatile, expressive, curious, and independent. So Gemini people often have a many-sided personality. Geminis are quick-witted and most likely the type to talk your ear off at a networking event.
Awesome.
With so many personality types, it's often hard to get to know the real person behind the Gemini. Which is funny because when I first started dating James, I found it really hard to get to know him. And I'm like, that could be his Gemini side coming out.
Sticks out sometimes, eh?
Yeah, and I think, again, when you're looking at like the life aspect of horoscopes, it's kind of interesting to see because now I'm like, he wasn't being closed off. He was just being his personality. There's so much more understanding in that, you know. Possible entrepreneur endeavors for the Gemini person is a podcast host because they can talk their ear off. You don't have any Gemini in us. Right?
No.
Shoot.
I know. I'm like, where did this come from? I don't know. Making it work.
Right? A translator or a writer. Pretty much anything that gets your brain thinking and doing.
Makes sense.
Some famous Geminis include Octavia Spencer, Mel B, Idina Menzel, Tom Holland, Heidi Klum, Anderson Cooper, that one kind of makes sense,
yes.
Angelina Jolie, and Michael Cera. So some recommended self-care practices. So we have yoga, the perfect practice to bring their mind and their body together as they are often thinking one thing and then doing something else. See, I feel like that yoga would also be really hard for some Geminis.
Oh, it would be challenging for sure.
But it'd be a good challenge, I think.
Yes. They'd probably be doing like the really hardcore flow classes though, because they'd probably really struggle to do more of like a yin.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
But who knows? Don't judge a book by its cover.
Exactly.
So the next one we have here is Cancer, which is June 21st to July 22nd. And their dominant keyword here is I feel. Feely. They're a water sign, which is ruled by the moon. And that governs emotions and intuitive behavior. So I guess that kind of explains the whole I feel. I'm just like flowy talking about Cancer here.
Yeah.
Their most likable trait is their loyalty. And other traits that they may have are intuitive, sentimental, compassionate, and protective. Like a crab's shell, the Cancer person may have a tough exterior, but inside be very vulnerable, sentimental, and like just a real big softie.
Yeah.
Essentially. So it's just like you get through it, and then that's what you get on the other side. They can easily pick up on energies and moods from other people as they often have intuitive and psychic abilities. And most water signs have a touch of this in them.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's cool. What you might see from them as entrepreneurship endeavors would be like a baker or a chef. So they're like creating and, being masterful in the kitchen. A Reiki practitioner or even a counselor. I guess that makes sense too with the intuition. Famous Cancers include Chris Pratt, Lana Del Rey, Meryl Streep, Solange Knowles, Mindy Kaling, Ariana Grande, Ernest Hemingway, and Helen Keller. That's a big, long list of very big people.
Yeah.
Way to go. And for self-care practices, because their emotions ebb and flow so much, they're that water sign, we thought journaling would be really good because it's a great way for them to just make sure that they're processing and getting all of that out.
Oh, 100%. And also gratitude lists. I feel like that'd be a huge one too because you're so high and lows of emotions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because Cancers feel deeply. They feel deeply.
They feel really deep.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair.
Next, we have Leo, and Leos are born between July 23rd and August 22nd. Their dominant keyword is I will. And they are a fire sign ruled by the sun, of all things, which bestows nobility and pride. Their most likable trait is their exuberance. Guaranteed you know a Leo. Their common traits are dramatic, fiery, self-assured, outgoing. And like I said, chances are you know a confident Leo. They are the type that will walk into any room with confidence and assume that you would leave the red carpet out for them. Leos are passionate, they're eccentric, and they make sure to stand out in a crowd, which may put off some people who think that you kind of tend to hog the spotlight a little bit. So that actually would make a really great entrepreneur, like that exuberance and confidence, like, I got this.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Just work the room.
Right? So some possible endeavors for entrepreneurship for the Leo is a musician, a hairstylist, public relations, sales, or even to be an influencer. Some famous Leos include Mick Jagger, got the moves like Jagger, Madonna, Barack Obama, Jennifer Lopez, Sandra Bullock, Maya Rudolph, Terry Crews, Whitney Houston, and Anna Kendrick. And all those celebrities,
they've all got
personality and confidence, like up the yin yang. Like, it's funny because like I could totally see like people like Whitney Houston, how epic she was, and people would call her diva, and it's like, no, she's just being a Leo.
Yeah.
Like,
back off, leave her alone.
Exactly. So some recommended self-care practices is a spa day, getting pampered because they love the adoration.
Yeah. Put them on that pedestal, roll out that red carpet. Right? Yeah.
I actually don't know many Leos, but
I like, people were coming to mind as you were reading that, and I'm like, I wonder if they're like...
Oh, man.
Not judging. Just curious.
Right?
Yeah, I don't think I do, though. I have to go through my birthday list and see who falls in there. All right, what do we got next? Ooh, this is Dave's sun sign.
Ooh.
So this is fun. So it's Virgo, which is August 23rd to September 22nd. And their key word is I analyze. Interesting.
Yes.
Another earth sign, and they are ruled by Mercury, which is the planet of communication and intelligence. And their most likable trait, which is a tongue twister. That's why you wanted me to do this. No, I'm just kidding. Conscientiousness?
Yep.
How'd I do?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And other Virgo traits are practical, analytical, perfectionist, and precise. And woo, I can see Dave right there. Yep.
So he has a very analytical mind by the looks of it.
He does. He tracks like everything, and he is a perfectionist in many things, especially his music. So
yeah,
can't blame him for that though. It's his craft. Virgos are known to be the logical type, and they have a practical and systematic way of life. There you go. There's it. In a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
People come to Virgos for advice, as they are really great for that. They don't wear their hearts on their sleeves, so they have a tendency to perceive you as naughty and cold. And on the outside, they seem really calm, but inside they can be quite restless, constantly seeking, improving, and fixing. So they're like just problem solve, always going on. Some possible entrepreneurship endeavors include being a coach, a personal organizer or house cleaner. Ooh, I like that. Dave's actually really good at that. Sometimes, like one day he just was like, I'm going to organize our closets. I was like,
Virgos are actually known to have a cleaning dominancy. Like there's a lot of Virgos that like to have a clean house, which is very interesting.
Yeah, I really lucked out with this because he is great like that. Also editor or an accountant, which I could see too, like the analytical and just kind of keeping things in line. So some famous Virgo celebrities include Keanu Reeves, Beyonce. Yeah, girl.
Beyonce.
Oh, yeah. Slay. Zendaya.
Yep.
Idris Elba. Salma Hayek. Cameron Diaz. Pink. Another badass. Jennifer Hudson. Richard Gere. And Stephen King.
Yep.
So anything for self-care. I was laughing thinking about this. I was like, I think it's anything that makes them stop thinking so much or let go of those like perfectionist tendencies, right? So like meditation or like a crafty hobby so that they're still feeling like they're doing something and, getting something out of it.
It's so true. And as my rising sign, I sometimes have like the over analyzing, can't turn my brain off kind of thing. And I do my hobbies and meditation when I'm feeling that way. So that was a great option there, Julianne. Because I'm like, yeah, I completely agree that it's just finding that something to get out of their brain.
Yeah. Stop the spinning.
Exactly. Put on a Netflix show and cross stitch.
Love it.
There you go. Problem solved.
Yeah.
So next we have Libras. And Libras are born in between September 23rd and October 22nd. Their dominant keyword is I balance. And you'll see that with their sign having the scale. Scale. Yeah, there we go.
Like, what is that?
What is that again? And the Libras are air signs, and they are ruled by Venus, the planet of self-indulgence and love. So their most likable trait is their charm. Other traits that Libras might have is they're very sociable, they're judicial because,
Makes
you know,
sense.
the balance.
Yeah.
They're helpful, and they're fair-minded. Conflict too. Making a decision who? Libras are known to strive for symmetry and equilibrium. Libra people love to be in partnerships and do tend to care what others think of them, even if they may not show it. Like a scale, they can see both sides to any situation. And fun little thing that I did notice that I wrote a note down, which I think is kind of funny, is it's actually the only inanimate object in the zodiac. All the other zodiac is like fish and bulls and stuff.
Yeah,
Like it's
that's
the
true.
only
Yeah, that's
object,
cool.
which is kind of cool. And another note too, like both my really, really close friends are Libras, and they are truly the nicest people, but at the same time, it's like they never get in conflict. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And making a decision to hang out was always, because I'm indecisive, they're indecisive.
You're just like, we're never going to see each other.
Yeah, exactly. Well, but we do. It's just like whatever, you know, the common, which is good for people like me.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of funny because, yeah, like my closest friends are Libras, so I have a special place for you Libras out there.
That's awesome.
So yeah, they sometimes spend so much time weighing both sides that they never make a decision.
That could be challenging.
Yes. So some possible entrepreneur endeavors is something like an advisor, because again, you can see both sides. A stylist, HR, that's a huge one. A personal investigator, which I think is kind of cool. So some famous Libras, we have Will Smith, Olivia Newton-John, Donald Glover, Barbara Walters, that one makes sense, Mark Hamill, Hilary Duff, Halsey, Sting, and Bruno Mars. And some recommended self-care practices. Aromatherapy is definitely one that they should do because, again, that self-indulgence, they do like luxury. Maybe that's another reason why I have so many Libra friends, because they like the indulgent sides.
Yeah, you guys have that in common.
Exactly. So like scents like rose and jasmine can help create that inner balance that they seek because they, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Love that. And next we have Scorpio. So if you're born between October 23rd and November 21st, that is your sign. And the key word there is I desire. I like that. They're a water sign, and they're ruled by Pluto, which is beginning and ending phases. Their most likable trait is idealism. They also are intense, passionate, relentless, and protective. That seems like a very interesting mix of traits.
Yep.
Scorpios are often one of the most understood signs of the zodiac. Because they're so passionate, powerful, and strong, it can come across a little bit brash. And we have to remember, though, that they're more than just their hard exterior. They actually have unparalleled soulful connections, depth, and empathy. But don't you get in the way of a Scorpio who has a missionary goal. They aren't afraid to work really hard and play the long game. So some great entrepreneur endeavors for them would be a crime novelist. That'd be interesting. Yeah, they'd have to do a lot of research and stuff, get really into it. A sex therapist.
They're a very sexual, passionate sign.
Yeah.
Like that's
Right,
very
that desire,
dominant.
yeah, passion. Yeah, that makes sense. And a game designer. So some famous Scorpios that are in the world are Whoopi Goldberg, Julia Roberts. I love how we say Leo DiCaprio. You know, we're Just Leo.
Just Leo. We're on a first name. I'm just kidding.
Or on like even a nickname.
I was just a two-type or two-card type of Leonardo.
No, he's Leo to us. Marie Antoinette, Matthew McConaughey, Winona Ryder, Joaquin Phoenix, Drake, and Katy Perry.
Which all of those are quite intense people.
They really are. Yeah, that's cool. And when it comes to self-care, because they're so passionate and they're so, just in it, relaxation would be huge for them, right? So anything that can help them relax. So I'm thinking like massages, baths, meditation, just kind of like get a little more chill. They'd probably actually really like the massage too, right? If they're into like passion and touch and whatnot. So
oh, definitely.
That could be really good for them. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel kind of bad for Scorpios because I think a lot of Scorpios don't believe in astrology because whenever you read anything about Scorpios, there's always like a somewhat negative connotation to it. And that's why I always say like they're so misunderstood. And they're like usually the most genuine and caring people. It's just they keep their circle small and they're okay with it. You know what I mean? There's actually a lot of introverts that are Scorpios too, which I think is very interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you cross them, just kind of like an Aries, they'll cut you off.
Look out.
They won't give you a chance like an Aries usually, which I think is quite interesting. But for the most part, they're very loyal as well. So yeah, I'm looking at you, Scorpios. I understand you. I see you. It's okay.
I love it.
And now for Sagittarius. I don't think I know any Sagittarius people.
Hi. I'm right here.
Yeah, there you are. So Sagittarius, you were born in between November 22nd and December 21st. And your dominant keyword is I see. So Sagittarius is actually a fire sign ruled by Jupiter, which is the planet of good fortune and optimism. And you are definitely a very optimistic person.
Too much so sometimes.
Which is funny because like the next few traits, your most likable trait is your optimism. And most common traits are optimistic, enthusiastic, outspoken, and independent. I'm like, oh my god, just describing you.
This is awkward. I'm just going to get all shifty in my seat now.
Right? It's funny because as I was like writing this down, I was like, this is so Julianne. And like, we're just reading it. It's like, you can't just, no words. So Sagittarians have the need for free thinking, wanderlust, and many quests of knowledge. Sagittarius people often are excellent storytellers and are often quite magnetic. And they are quite adaptable and flexible since they are a mutable sign. And there's two things. There's immutable signs and there's fixed signs. Not going to get into it today, but basically it's a sign that doesn't hold really strong into them. But don't try to control a Sagittarius. They love their freedom.
So my controlling Taurus friend.
Yeah. It's a miracle. I think because I'm a Sagittarius moon, maybe I understand that from you. Yeah. Maybe, I don't know.
There's something
there. There's something there. There's something that makes the dream work or whatever the saying is.
Yeah.
So possible entrepreneurial endeavors, anything in tourism. So like a guide, a travel blogger, etc. A coach. I had to put that in though for a course teacher. So anything like online where you're teaching people. And animal training.
Interesting.
Right? So some famous Sagittarians are Miley Cyrus, Frank Sinatra, Tyra Banks. Although it's funny because I honestly thought that she would be a Leo. She must have some strong Leo in her chart somewhere. But I digress.
We'll give her a call later.
Yeah, we'll give her a call. We're on a first name.
Can you send me your birth chart, please? Yeah. I'd like to see all your sun, your moon, your rising.
What time were you born? Location.
Yeah. Give me all the deets.
Oh, man. So, and Scarlett Johansson, Tina Turner, Anna Faris, Chrissy Teigen, Britney Spears, and Lucy Liu.
Cool.
Some recommended self-care practices. I love what you put, that you should have some good ideas. And I just like that, just stop. And it's so true. But I think another thing that you'd have to focus on is that going into your explorative, so hiking somewhere new. Go figure, you love hiking. Exactly. And, again, trying something new, too. I think that's a huge thing because always looking for that adventure.
Yeah, give me a new trail.
Yeah, exactly.
All the time. We're going to run out of trails here soon. Hopefully we can get off this island again one day.
Right? Did we miss anything, Sagittarius?
No, I'm feeling awkward now, so I'm going to move on. Next we have Capricorn. So this is anyone who was born between December 22nd and January 19th. And their dominant keyword is I use. The earth sign is ruled by Saturn, which is the planet of discipline and responsibility. It sounds very serious.
Oh, yes.
Serious Capricorns. Their most likable trait is their steadiness. And other traits that they have is that they're responsible, realistic, hardworking, and ambitious. They have the focus and ambition to get anything done on their short-term and their long-term goals. They can come across as a little bit reserved or restrained, but after the hard work is done, most of them have a more playful and youthful side. So, I love what you said here. So don't party with a Capricorn because they go hard. Yeah. But in actuality, they go hard at everything they do because they are true perfectionists to the bone.
Yep.
So things that you might find them doing in an entrepreneurial fashion would be a financial planner, carpentry. I like that. Yeah, you definitely have to be a hard worker and work on perfection for that. Mm-hmm. CEOs or editors. And some famous Capricorns are Martin Luther King Jr., Michelle Obama, Diane Keaton, Lin-Manuel Miranda. And a fun fact, I'm like, I don't understand this at all. Alexander.
Okay, so for all of you who watch the Hamilton musical and know it, Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote and is in it, and he plays Hamilton.
Yeah.
And he's also a Capricorn as well, so I think it's just funny that they're both Capricorns. And I thought that was fun.
I love it. Oh, and our girl Dolly Parton.
Gotta rep Dolly.
Love it. Love it. Denzel Washington and Bradley Cooper.
Yes.
That's awesome. So self-care for our Capricorns is they need quiet time to rest because they're just go, go, go no matter what they're doing. So, read a book, take a bath, cozy up on the couch. Key is put your phone away, any work stuff, whatever, just put it to the side and get that downtime. That's what they really need for their self-care.
Exactly, because most Capricorns are workaholics. That's if you know a Capricorn and they're a workaholic, well...
I'm like, that's my rising sign. So it's making sense now, isn't it?
Well, it is because you are a very hard worker. And every time I'm like, oh, you work so hard.
Why are you working so hard?
Even today you came up and you're like, oh, yeah, I've been so busy and on the go all the time. I'm like, oh, my goodness.
It's almost the weekend.
It's almost the weekend, yeah. So next we have Aquarius, which is your moon sign, which is kind of exciting. So Aquarius is born in between January 20th and February 18th. And their dominant keyword is I know. Aquarius is actually an air sign, which actually confuses a lot of people because they think Aqua or Aquarius would be a water sign, but it's actually an air sign. And it is ruled by Uranus, which is the planet of change and disruption. So their most likable trait is friendliness. Other common traits from Aquarians are their perceptive, their intuitiveness, idealistic, and independent, which is so you're so friendly and perceptive and independent, which it kind of goes really well with your Sagittarius. And yeah, air and fire.
I feel all my three signs go really nicely together.
They really
do. Or at
do.
least they really explain me.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. So yeah, Aquarius individuals often give an unconventional or quirky vibe as they are so free-spirited and eccentric. Aquarians often are humanitarians and empaths that connect to life's greater purpose in a sense. They also inspire others to do so as well. But don't try to control an Aquarian as freedom is the utmost of importance to them. So some entrepreneurial endeavors is anything kind of holistic, again, because they have that intuitive perception. So a tarot card reader would be a really cool one. A yoga teacher would be really good because, again, they're able to, be really empathetic. And then also a nonprofit leader. I think that'd be a really good one as well. Some famous Aquarians, of course, Oprah Winfrey. Of course, she's a Aquarius. Rainn Wilson, Neil Diamond, Alicia Keys, Harry Styles, Ronda Rousey, Chris Rock, and The Weeknd.
Nice.
So some self-care practices for you Aquarians out there. With their head in the cloud, they forget to take care of their bodies. So acupuncture and chiro would be, which chiro I'm assuming is chiropractic. Yeah. Is that a new thing?
I also like to abbreviate my words.
You thought it was like some like new age thing, and I'm like, oh, I need to try what chiro is.
Add that to the list of things to try.
Oh man, but yeah, those would be really helpful, but probably not totally relaxing.
No.
I don't know. I've gotten acupuncture and I was like super relaxed.
True, it depends, I guess, on how it goes.
I think it's like the first like little bit, but anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. All right, and then last but not least is Pisces. And this is for those who were born February 19th to March 20th. And their dominant keyword being I believe. I like that. This is a water sign that is ruled by Neptune, which is the planet of mystery and illusion. Cool. Most likable trait being compassion. And then other common traits that they have is charitable, empathetic, spiritual, and sensitive. So the poor Pisces tend to be stereotyped as the most emotional sign of the zodiac. But this is because they feel really deeply and they're so empathic and spiritual. But they really are tougher than some may think. So, you know, they don't necessarily swim away from their problems. They'll like face them head on because they do have that intuitive energy. And they're really great dreamers. Yes. I like that. Possible endeavors for them would be a holistic entrepreneur. So maybe like Reiki massage therapist. We're seeing that coming up again. A novelist, perhaps in a spiritual base or even like poetic. And an artist. Yep. Oh, and now that I'm looking at like the famous Pisces that are coming up, a lot of this makes sense. So we've got Kurt Cobain, Rihanna, Cindy Crawford, Daniel Craig, Nat King Cole, Bryan Cranston, Common, and
Lupita Nyong'o.
Thank you. I was like, I'm going to butcher that. Thank you. You're the best.
You gotcha.
Recommended self-care practices for them is, you know, doing those holistic approaches because they are so like intuitive, spiritual. So like energy work, essential oils, bubble baths, those things that get all the different senses coming together would be really good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool because Pisces is represented by the fish, and they are actually the most spiritual sign. And when you think about it, like a lot of Christian and possibly Catholic, I'm not sure, don't quote me on that, they're represented by that fish symbol as well. And it's funny because I actually know a lot of people that I know that are really into religion are actually Pisces or have strong Pisces in their chart.
Interesting.
Which I'm just like, go figure.
Look at that. That's cool.
So yeah, that was a breakdown of the sun signs, which we could probably go on for hours. And that was us just trying to get it all done as fast as possible, just so we're not like, you know, giving you guys too much information. Because again, it can get overwhelming. One thing I do want to say too is that I personally don't believe that this can like predict your future, and just because you are to be like a Taurus, you can, you know, try to get out of those traits. Like I feel like some people think that, oh well, that's just me, now I'm defined, like whatever. You know, but at the end of the day, we're still making the end choices of our life.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think I would even want my future to be predicted, you know? And so like when you read those horoscopes that predict your future of today, just walk away. Like I see this more as like a personality tool.
It just helps you understand yourself differently too, right? And like the work that I do with clients is all about the inner game and like self-acceptance and getting to know yourself. So I feel like this is another approach to that too, right? Like why fight who you are yes, it may not be like, oh, because this says that you should be this type of entrepreneur, go do it. Like still, follow your heart and see what actually makes sense. But if there's certain traits of yours that you're just like, why am I like this? Can you learn to accept that that's the way that you are and be comfortable and okay with it, right? It doesn't mean you have to change it or fight against it.
Well, exactly. And it's that understanding thing too. Like I even wrote this as an example, but like my husband, he's a Gemini Capricorn and I'm a true stubborn Taurus. Like through and through. And before, like our fights would be absolutely volatile. So like you have Gemini who's quick-witted and will talk their way out of most things. Like in a Taurus that's really stubborn and would just shut down, right? So we weren't fighting effectively. And because now that I know his sign and my sign and that personal awareness has already been huge, because I realize, okay, Steph, are you being stubborn? I'll call myself out now and realize, are you being the shadow aspect, like the dark side of your sign right now?
Yeah.
And so then now so much, like even though in my heart I'm like, I'm right, I want to be right, you should be apologizing to me, I'm looking back and I'm like, okay, Steph, are you being stubborn right now? And I'll call him out too of like what I know his sign has, like he has like a stubborn aspect too with the Capricorn and the perfectionist needing to be right, and I'll put the hard work to make sure that I'm right. So it's coming to that understanding, and I think that already has been huge. And like when you look at the signs, you can kind of fit this kind of theory of looking at your personality into all aspects of life. So I kind of wonder if we apply this to our own businesses, or like people that we hire on, instead of doing those in Enneagram or personality, ENG5, whatever
those things.
What if we like looked at even like the signs, and if you're creating a team, how will they work together, and how can you use those strong aspects creatively to build your team?
That's cool. Yeah.
I think that'd be kind of cool.
That'd be interesting. Yeah. Or even like if you have an existing team, to look at what they are and go from there too, right? You could build you and I don't have teams at this point, so we could build from scratch. But for those of you who may already have a team, you can also look at these astrology characteristics and get to know each other and be like, oh, that's why we're in conflict, or that's why this person shuts down when I come so aggressively at them, because they tend to hold back and whatnot, right? Like it certainly would be a great tool to get to know one another. And just like coming back though on not like fully hanging your hat on the whole thing and holding so firm to it, but you may learn a lot about other people that are in your life and about yourself by reading through this. And I think that's the key.
That self-awareness, that's the biggest thing. And I think that's the cool thing of when you look at those other personality tests too. It's the self-awareness of where you at, because like so often we're so outside of ourselves in a sense. And it's always things are happening to us. You know what I mean? Yeah,
they can be. And well, in any of those other things, it's like you're filling out a form or like questions and things like that, right? And you have a bit of influence in there. Whereas like there's nothing you could have done to change your astrology. Right. So it just is who you are based on exactly when and where you were born.
Exactly. And it's funny because there's actually some cultures that they will never give people their full birth chart, because they think that people will then be able to manipulate them because they know their true self.
Wow.
And that's the funniest thing. So ever since then, I'm like, I'm not sharing my thing just in case someone does know how to read it. And it's true, like, because everything and like every day is a different day, depending on your aspects and where the stars are, where the planets are, where Mercury retrograde is. You know what I mean? Like there's so much to it, and it can be so customized to you, and like it's just there's so much information there. And
we could go. I mean, we could talk about this for hours and hours and hours. We won't. But I do intend to continue diving in to really understand my signs more, to look at my houses, that kind of stuff too. And I just need to slow down. The Sagittarius and
Capricorn.
And Aquarius and Capricorn. What a mix, eh? But that's who I am. And it all makes sense. But I do know that for me, like, this has been a big eye opener of like, that is why I really need to prioritize self-care for me, because I am such a driven, ambitious, like go, go, go kind of person.
Yeah.
And nobody, doesn't matter what your signs are, that doesn't mean you can and should go full tilt all the time.
Exactly.
You need to practice self-care. You need to slow down. I need to practice self-care. I need to slow down. Let me rephrase that. I need to say this to myself.
Oh, man.
Noted.
Mirror.
Yeah.
Another thing that I want to mention, too, is that we kind of sort of touched on when we were reading the sun signs, but there's also the elements as well. So there's earth, fire, air, and water. And those also make a huge thing on your charts. Like, for example, I have so much earth element in my chart. It's ridiculous. And then I look at myself and I'm like, okay, everything makes so much sense. I would love to have a mini hobby farm, growing my own vegetables, having a shit ton of pets. Growing up, I was totally a granola girl. So I'd have I'm such a total hippie at heart. And if you look at my house, there's so many plants.
So many plants.
So many plants. And it's just like, for me, I'm like, yeah, I like my comforts. I collect my plants. And they're part of the earth. And it's just those little subtle things. I think you have a lot of air in yours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I don't have anything in particular. Like, I can't keep plants alive to save my life. I don't really collect things. Like, I'm more like, like, it's interesting. Yeah.
Well, especially like the knowledge and the need for learning.
Yeah, I
like
collect knowledge.
Yeah.
I think when we were reading,
I collect knowledge.
And there's the quote from today's podcast.
That is going to go on a shirt.
Yes. Merch. I collect knowledge. Something that we were reading when we had our astrology night was something about that, though, right? And I was sharing with all of you how I'm always like, get that next certification, the next whatever, go, always feeling like I have to have that formal education behind whatever I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that came through so clearly.
Yeah.
I'm like, there it is. Oh man, I feel seen in a good way.
So do you think you're going to continue to kind of look into your astrology?
Yeah, like I'm going to try to slow down and create the time for it. I think we should book another night.
Yes.
Too,
yes.
because I find that things like this I absorb much better when I can talk about it also. So if we can sit around the table with a couple of friends and share what I'm learning about myself, then it just like absorbs that much better for me, I think.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. And that's a good idea for those who are listening that might want to dip their toes but are kind of feeling a little intimidated. Find someone that actually knows a little bit of astrology too. That'd be kind of nice to do your night with. But then have some wine. We had a bunch of snacks and it was awesome. That was kind of a self-care thing in itself because you're having that social aspect, and it was kind of cool because I got to know some of my friends even deeper, and things kind of clicked there too, because I'm like, I always thought that she didn't like me that much, and it just turned out that's just her rising ascendant was strong in Scorpio. Yeah. And that was like, okay, it all makes sense. But when you get to know her, she's a Libra. And little things like that.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's really cool. And I think there was 4 of us here and we were all a different element. Yes. Is that how that worked too? That was kind of cool. And we all vibed so well together. It was a really fun night. So
cool. Yeah, because I was the earth, you're the fire. We had a Pisces, so water, and then the Libra air. So crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm hoping that this helps, so for those of you who are listening, watching, however you're absorbing this content, I hope it was insightful. Like, it's interesting to learn about yourself. Maybe there's other people in your life that you're like, oh, yeah, totally makes sense now how this is happening. And maybe this has piqued a little curiosity to dig deeper too.
Exactly.
Yeah. we'd love to hear, like, do you resonate with your sun sign, or do you feel like, oh, maybe I do need to dig deeper and figure out what is my moon and my rising? So similar to, Steph's husband, James, and kind of seeing what's coming up there. There's a lot more to learn besides just
the sun sign
and the little horoscopes in the newspaper. So
yeah, just don't watch those. Don't look at those. They're some are okay, I guess. But
yeah, we hope this is a good intro for people just to
dip your toes.
Yeah,
exactly.
Do some exploration.
It's just another way to get to know yourself better.
Yeah,
really,
love it.
It's always good to know yourself a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly.
So with that being said, I would love to know your guys' opinions, if you're willing to share your sign, if you guys know your birth chart, or if you're going to be looking at your birth chart now and letting us know. We'd love to hear everything in your comments and questions, concerns. And yeah, maybe if this even opened up your eyes to kind of take a look. But with that being said, we're going to leave you guys for today.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Thriving Tides. Hit the subscribe button to never miss an episode.
Follow us, Thriving Tides, on Facebook, Instagram, and now YouTube to stay connected. And remember, don't fight the rip currents.